Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to the Morl Society, a live stream, an evening, a way of life, and a burgeoning culture dedicated to the very rim of information. At the end of the day, information is what it's all about. And some people mistakenly think that our job on this earth with our limited lifespan is to amass information. But Morl Society posits that it's rarity, not quantity or quality, but hard to discover information is where life's least poisonous juice resides. Welcome, everyone. You have tuned in. You are connected. Filled to the rim? Yeah, I think we say brim for that, Red. That's a piece of information you could have right off the dome. Welcome, Big Popper. Welcome, Funky. Welcome, Mono. Welcome, Burnzoid. Welcome, Red. Sorry for correcting you on the rim brim. I feel bad about that. Bad energy to start with. Hello, Nikki. Another username for Nikki. New information for all of us to have. Robot Cooper, we call it a brim. You filter the brim. A rim means the edge, like the edge of like a vinyl record. But brim means like the top, the top of a container. You do have a brim. We're all brimming with knowledge. In fact, let's have a demonstration of that. You don't appreciate over your lifetime, over the course of your experiences on this blasted sphere, the sheer quantity and diversity of information you amass. This is what we are here to celebrate. Not the most important information of the era, just things that are hard to find. It is the Pokemon shiny hunting of general knowledge. Can people put in the chat, by way of demonstration, things they know about? For instance, rocks, trees, paving slabs, how often you can feed a fish before it gets sick. Burnzoid knows roads, Excel, number plates, rocks, biscuits. Now, let's push to the very rims of our memory and experience. How to set up your MS-DOS computer so it has enough extended memory to run your games. Now we're talking cat, soil and trees, crisps. Yeah, go further afield, further afield. Tattoos and the UFC, salt-crusted rim. Pain, for pain's humdrum. Not pleasant, but it's common. Let's go to the absolute rim. I do know about the specific application of thermoplastic road markings. Now we're talking. Disco Elysium, yeah, fair enough. Crops, yeah, kind of. I think a lot of people know about crops. American Pool in the 2010s. Here we go. The TV show Say Yes to Dress Atlanta. Perfect. No Mercy, like the concept of being merciless, or is this like a wrestling thing, or is it a band? I've seen like 7 films. Yeah, okay. So maybe look towards a different medium. I know the name of a single London tube station whose name doesn't contain any of the letters from the word mackerel. Walter, and you can let us know which one that is. Electricity, nuclear-themed city flags in Russia. Now we're talking. That's the cream of the cream. That's when cream develops cream. The nicknames of NBA players, the evils of James Dyson, ornamental hermits. I love a good ornamental hermit. One of the greatest attractions in West Yorkshire, I think, is the Little Hermit's Cave in an otherwise forgettable satellite town. St. John's Wood, that's good. Finished translations of the works of the Dadaists. Beautiful. Feed it to me. The history of the banana flats in Leith. The Melbourne-Sydney coaxial cable and how it affected Australian broadcast history. Huge. Mind-expanding. Now we're getting... This is fully psychoactive. Self-mummified monks, yeah? The Savage Family, 1988 to present. Of course, you can know details of your own genealogical history. You can 23andMe yourself into the absolute apex of hyper-specific 17th century bloodlines, Eurovision national selection controversies 2017 to 2023. This is a biography of human history. This is lived real experience of the things that we gather, that we collect, but we have no opportunity to express. There is no forum for the blasted rim of human knowledge until tonight / 4 years ago when we did the first one, until this event. Tonight we're going to hear from 7 presenters on 7 topics, and there is a good chance you will never hear anyone talk about these topics ever again. This is their value. This is not a TED Talk where someone tells you how to live your life, how to better society, or how to change your understanding of the human condition. You're going to hear about little things. Small, interesting, apocrypha, knick-knack, and curios. That's where joy is to be found. In the corner with the toys. Ants? Humdrum. I see ants every day. Sorry, I'm coming down really hard on you, Red, but I thought you were going to have the greatest degree of esoterica of them all. I mean, there's probably... Did you know ants is the only... ants are the only organism to milk another organism that's not humans? That's my one ant fact. Ants is good with a Z. Now I'm back in. Now I'm here. Jazal Nuvat. What do they milk? Aphids, is it? Yeah. Aphids, I think. I can't remember why. Who milks humans? Terms of service. We can't go into that. So that is the evening laid out. 7 presentations, complete with 7 Q&As to the presenters. And I think that's plenty. I think that's real life. So who is ready to hear from our first presenter of the evening and our first presentation? I'll go first. I'm ready. Please, can you welcome to our renowned library? This is Martijn Frazer with the first successful Dutch voyage to Indonesia.
Hello.
Hello.
It's me.
Would you like me to bring your screen share in straight away, or does that come in after a bit?
I don't know. I think it's important people see this book, though, because that's really the whole reason why I'm here and talking about this. I read this book and I thought it was very interesting, couldn't believe what I read, and now I want to tell it to you. So that's the gist of it, really.
Great. Well, the floor is yours. When you want to bring that screen share in, let me know and I'll just bring it in.
I think would be a good time, probably.
Okie dokie. And then I'll move you down here. Enjoy.
Is it on?
Yeah, we're going.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I want to talk about the first successful Dutch voyage to Indonesia. And that's because I have this book that I showed you. It was published in 1997. I bought it, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And it tells the story, a first-hand account of a sailor who was aboard the fleet, the very first fleet that successfully landed in Indonesia, departing from the Netherlands and returned. Originally published in 1597. So yeah, that's the period that we're talking about. The Netherlands, the Dutch never really left Europe before this point. The world was divided between the Portuguese and the Spanish. It's all about the spice trade. That's the reason why we're interested in this. And I don't know, I just thought it was fascinating. It's fascinating to sail into the unknown and to see what adventures were found along the way. So that's why I want to share it. Now, before we set off, I want to say one thing very clearly. Colonialism is very bad. This talk is not about condoning any of the atrocities that happened. The Netherlands ruled Indonesia for over 300 years. Terrible thing. So that's not, absolutely not what I want to talk about or say that was a good idea. These people are heroes or we should go back to these times. None of that, please. Also, that's not the subject. The subject is just this one voyage, and all the colonialism happened after that. So, yeah, I just want to talk about being at sea and sailing into the unknown. So, I think the best way to demonstrate this is not these slides. I think the best way is this. I have put together a little game, if you like, a simulator. And we're going to use this to experience what it was like to sail to Indonesia, departing from the Netherlands in 1595, 2nd of April. We have 4 ships, the Amsterdam, the Hollandia, the Mauritius, and a small ship, a yacht called the Duifken, means small dove. We have 249 healthy crew. We have lots of food, various trading goods, some crude maps. That's it, really. So yeah, let's see if we can make this work. We're departing from here, from the Netherlands, from the island of Texel, and we're sailing, well, more or less here to the Canary Islands, where we restock. Things are going well, it's fine. And now we're sailing to more or less Brazil. That's when we start to, meet ships. Oh, it was on the wrong screen, sorry. So we approach a ship. There's Spanish ships, there's Portuguese ships. In general, the Spanish rule the eastern side of the globe, and the Portuguese the western side. The Netherlands is also at war with Spain at this moment, and Spain is allied with the Portuguese. This is the reason of all the tensions. This is the reason why the Dutch merchants don't have access to the spice market and want to get it themselves in Asia. So yeah, this is all very, very dangerous, really. So the key is, when you're approaching a Portuguese ship, then you lie and you say you're going west. And when you encounter a Spanish ship, you lie and you say you're going east. And really, they don't care about the other side. So that's the trick here. So we're saying we're going west, but actually that's not what we're doing at all. We do restock in Brazil, but then we go east. Now this is very dangerous and very sneaky. Also, the months are going by. It's now June, and things are not going as well as they were going at first. The wind has died down. People are starting to have scurvy a bit, but we're pressing on. It's now maybe July, and yeah, things are actually quite dire now. Half the crew has scurvy. Yeah, this is not going very. This turns out to be quite difficult, actually. So what we do is we land here in South Africa, near. It's in Dutch called Kaap de Goede Hoop, Cape something. It's still influenced by the Dutch, but anyway, we set. We leave the ships here, go onto the land. Can't find any fresh produce. The only thing we can find is mussels. This doesn't help with scurvy at all. This is a drawing from the book. So yeah, this is, this book is telling this story, and there's drawings, and there's everything. It's really quite interesting. So they talk about trying to get food from the locals. They get some cattle. That's it. Doesn't really help with scurvy either. Also, the locals don't show themselves after a while. So yeah, this doesn't really help. We get a little bit of food, but honestly, yeah. So we sail on, but still things are going really quite poorly. People are very ill. So we land here on Madagascar. Now, yeah, people start dying. Really, it's terrible. For centuries, this place will be marked as the Dutch graveyard, because really, a a couple of dozen people die at this point. It's not great. The data we have, it's not a lot of data, but we believe the good side of the island is the east side, but we can't reach it due to bad weather. So instead, over the course of a couple of months, we reached this side. There's no food here either, just a little bit. It's all terrible. More people die. People just keep dying, really. So yeah, the months also, it's terrible. What happens here is a lot, and this is supposed to be a 5-minute talk, so I can't go over everything, but things just escalate. People are murdered by the locals, but also locals are murdered in retaliation. There's tensions between the seniors of the fleet. One tries to kill another. The captain of one of the ships dies. Someone tries to steal a boat. There's a mutiny. So yeah, things are going very poorly for many months. We do try to go into the ocean, but the bad weather is just preventing any of this happening. Now, finally, they do find a good spot, and they are able to restock. But by this point, sadly, 71 people have died. 70 people have died, and the one is the guy who tried to do the mutiny. He is left behind, never to be heard of again. So that's just what happens on these sorts of journeys. Now, in February, this is the good bit. We're actually on our way. This is another drawing from the book. You can see the little birds and fish, and this is all quite interesting. These are our 3 ships and the small one. So honestly, things are picking up now. Things are going a lot better. We're able, over the course of a couple of months, we're able to cross the ocean. And now, in June of 1596, we arrive at the city of Bantam in Indonesia. And it turns out Bantam is a bustling trade hub. There are markets selling all kinds of spices. There are Arabs, Turks, Chinese, Portuguese merchants. This is where it's happening. So this is really what we were aiming for and what we were going for. This is honestly quite good. So we're able to score some pepper, some black pepper, some nutmeg, some mace, and some Chinese porcelain. So this is good. And we stay here for a couple of months. We restock on food. So you would think, this is good, go back. But no, we decide that what the Dutch want is an exclusivity deal. What we want is to be the only European nation getting this pepper. There are grand ideas of being the only ones with access to this very costly material. So, yeah, they think they have set this up, but then it turns out, actually, no, they've not. The people at Bantam are still trading with the Portuguese. The Portuguese are also not very happy about the Dutch being here. They try to sabotage the whole operation. So tensions are building. And at one point, the de facto leader of the fleet, Cornelis de Houtman, he heads to the Bantam leaders, very cross, but he is captured and all of the crew is captured, and it's all kicking off. And now we have the choice of either, leaving him behind. We don't, sadly. I regret to say that we do attack the city. Cannons are fired on Bantam. It's set on fire. Local trading ships are seized. A third ship is set on fire by the Portuguese in order to prevent the Dutch from looting it as well. It's a giant mess. Eventually, a ransom is paid. The crew is returned, including Cornelis de Houtman and all the other people. We leave Bantam behind, but this is inexcusable, really. So by now it's more or less December, and for some reason, more people have died, by the way. This was all, you know, a big fight. So for some reason, we decide to explore further, and we go to this place here called Surabaya. Surabaya is on the island of Java, and arrangements are made to meet a local ruler, a local sultan, for a sort of a party on aboard one of our ships. So the party is dressed in little flags, and this is misinterpreted as a sign of hostility. And I'm sad to report that another fight breaks out. Dozens of people die. I have it here somewhere. Yeah, 12 people are killed aboard the Amsterdam. 4 are badly wounded. 150 locals are killed eventually. It's terrible. This is very, very bad. So yeah, we better leave this place again. And in January, we arrive at this island of Madura, where sort of the same thing happens. We tried to set up a meeting with the local sultan, a local ruler. There's some miscommunication. We think they're headed for one ship, but they're actually headed for another. There's a fleet of boats approaching, and with the experience of the previous thing, I'm sad to report that we opened fire on the Sultan's fleet, killing the local royal family. Yeah, nine people die. I'm very sorry. This is more people die. This is not going very well at all. Now at this point, there's not enough crew to man all these ships really. So the ship in the poorest condition is the Amsterdam. It's full of holes, so it's yeah. All the crew is transferred to the other ships, and it's set on fire. So yeah, the Amsterdam is gone, I'm afraid. And we make one more stop at the island of Bali. Now, actually, it turns out Bali's very nice. Lots of food, lots of fresh water. And just when we think, well, maybe we should go back to the Netherlands, you know, maybe this trip, there's 2 crew members missing. So yeah, we could go look for them, I suppose. That's not what we do. We leave. We waited for 3 days, to be fair, but yeah, these 2 people are never to be heard of again, I'm afraid. So that's more people dead. Yeah, I think we've had enough, haven't we? So I think now is a good time to sail back home. It takes a couple of months, of course. We restock here, and by when we arrive, let me see. We arrive around August, I believe. So yeah, I'm afraid that on their way, more people die. So this is a bit of a theme, but yeah, we've made it home with about half the crew still alive. It's now August, so we've been away for 2 years, but we have made it back home. So yeah, we did it. You win. Less than half the crew survives this trip. 245 bags of pepper is the total haul, and even after we're here, 8 more people die. People are very ill from all this, so I think we can all agree this was great, and we should definitely keep doing this. Is the conclusion everyone draws from this trip. And yeah, this is the first one, and the Dutch keep traveling back and forth to Indonesia from this point onwards. So that's the first trip. That's it for me.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'll give you center stage again. Lots of claps from the chat. If anyone has any questions for Martijn, put them into using this command plus Martijn Q, and then put your question in there, and then we can pull them out randomly. So, will you just say this was the beginning of the mercantile tradition of trying to raid/trade the resources of Indonesia?
Alleviate the Asians from their pepper, yeah.
Yeah, to help them with their pepper surplus.
Well, there was a bustling spice trade in the Netherlands already, but they were getting it from other places, from the Portuguese, from Venice. There were trade routes for centuries to Asia. But this is the moment when the Dutch take it upon themselves to set up their own source directly in Asia. And this is the first. This is not the first attempt. This is the first trip that actually made it back home. The first trips they tried were going north. They thought maybe there's a route north of Russia, and then we can avoid going around Africa, and we can avoid meeting Spanish and Portuguese ships altogether. So,
and I'm gonna guess that because of the permafrost that hits in the winter, it's just too deadly. If you get caught in that, that's the end of the voyage, and then no one can go home.
Also, there's just no continuous water all the way there. It's just all frozen. It's the North Pole. You're trying to sail. Yeah, you can't. But they didn't know this was impossible, so they tried.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have some questions coming through. Let's see if this pulls one out. This one from Buzz Josie. Why didn't they just build a travelator? You can answer that or not.
I don't know. I don't think they knew what that was.
That's very fair. It's very fair of you to respect that question and give it an answer. How is the relationship with Indonesia these days?
That's a very interesting question. It's fair to say it's very complicated. There's a lot of Indonesian influence in the Netherlands right now. There's a lot of Indonesian food to be found here. There's a lot of people from Indonesia living in the Netherlands. The other way around as well, there's definitely some Dutch influence. People, I was eating poffertjes the other day, mini Dutch pancakes. They eat them in Indonesia as well. Some people still speak Dutch. So, you know, I hope, I would like to think there's no ill will, but I don't know. Yeah, it was a very long period where the Dutch ruled Indonesia. They've only been independent since 1948. So I don't know what to say really. It's complicated for sure.
Yeah, it mirrors the other relationships between post-colonial subjects and European superpowers. I only learned a little bit about the Dutch relationship with colonial Indonesia during my time there, and I was reading something about how when the Dutch were going over and wanting to set up infrastructure, they just did what they knew from back home, be like, let's just use canals. But the Indonesian climate is so different that you're basically like strip-lining stagnant water across a tropical climate and everyone's getting malaria. It's like some devastating decisions. All right, what's in... It's not deleting them.
Thank you.
Was this better or worse for Indo-Dutch relations than Matahari?
I don't think Matahari was actually from Asia at all. I think she was a Dutch woman who just took on this foreign persona. So I don't think Matahari actually has much to do. But I'm not sure. I'm definitely not an expert. But I believe that the whole exotic dancer is just an act. But that's what I think.
Esgrieve has asked, did the 50% death rate continue into future voyages?
It wasn't quite as bad, but it was always very dangerous. Also, entire ships were lost. Ships sank. Ships were attacked. So The way they set this up, it's all private, you have to understand. This is not some royal, some nobility. This is all private enterprise. So this is people giving out shares to build these boats, employ these people. And essentially, if they didn't come back, then that's shares they don't have to pay out. That's salaries they don't have to pay out. So, yeah, this is it's all very business-like how this was organized. It's all very profit-driven.
And so you're saying that essentially the deaths are good for your bottom line, right? That's fewer wages. So that's probably why it continued for so long. How does this, Burnzoy has asked, was this the start of the Dutch East India Company?
Yeah, that's literally, that happened a couple of years later. It was, because that's the thing with this book as well. This book is a first-hand account. It's essentially a manual. It's essentially written as, if you want to sail to Indonesia, this is how you do it. And lots of expeditions were started after this. So there was a whole boom, and it was all consolidated into the Dutch East India Company after a while. But before that, it was all separate enterprises. And yeah.
So to some degree, is there any chance that if this had been less disastrous and therefore less profitable, the course of history could have gone a different way?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's huge.
This is a massive voyage. This changed everything.
Yeah, this changed history.
Yes.
Fluff has asked, did anyone just run off with the money and the goods instead of doing all the dangerous sailing on behalf of the company?
People tried to leave. I mean, they left 2 people behind on Bali. It's not unimaginable that these people just ran off thinking, I'd rather live on a tropical island than be with these idiots.
Yeah,
there was a mutiny on Madagascar as well. So yeah, people were trying to take control of the fleet, and yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time and efforts, Martijn. A exceptional first talk of the evening.
My pleasure. So yeah, happy to watch the rest, to be honest. I'm gonna watch everyone's talk. So yeah, best of luck to everyone, and thank you for hosting this, Sean.
And thank you for kicking us off. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
That was Martijn with an in-depth rundown of the first successful asterisk Dutch voyage to Indonesia. I didn't know about any of that, and it is funny and interesting to discover that an absolute disaster changed the course of global history. Our next presenter is already queued and in the chamber. So I'm just going to bring them in a moment. This is FunkyMrChicken with It's So Hard to Be a Wi-Fi These Days, an exploration of modern ICT, its application in the home, and what it means in the context of late-stage capitalism. Now that's a title. Welcome aboard, Funky. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can indeed hear you. Would you like to be full screened?
Yes, please. I've popped myself in my little camera hole.
I see. OBS trickery. What you love to see it.
This is pure PowerPoint. This is not a Microsoft sponsored thing.
Brilliant. The floor is yours. Enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello. This is my title. I was really proud of it. I would start off with just some limitations and clarifications about what the talk's going to be about. This information is correct for the UK. Other locations will be different. It's meant to inform and not judge. And I'll be using a metric system of 1,000 bytes in a kilobyte rather than the binary 1024. You are not immune to propaganda. The enshittification of Wi-Fi is on purpose. There is definitively a reason for it. Enshittification, the Cambridge definition being the process of a product being made worse on purpose. And that's from the Cambridge Dictionary, because fuck you, Oxford, learn to row a boat. The process of enshittification is to initiate a high quality product, immediately dominate the market, degrade the quality of your offerings, and then your users are unable to leave because they've invested too much in your product or because there's no competition left. Examples being Uber, Amazon, and Airbnb. Wi-Fi is a wireless arms race. And I have Rayman here, and he's spinning because he's wireless arms. I'll explain how it, from poor enforcement of standards and how it's a non-universal rollout, forced upselling and unnecessary mesh Wi-Fi networks and what that means, planned obsolescence, and then misleading marketing. I'm also going to grab a drink. Wi-Fi is a set of standards for wireless local networks. They started being named by the Wi-Fi Alliance, and that's why it's a trademark, with it being a capital W and an F and hyphenated. It has a high theoretical rate, but doesn't truly ever meet those. So in this timeline, from the beginning of Wi-Fi 7, it started a long time ago, back in May 2018, when they still hadn't standardized and published Wi-Fi 6. That doesn't happen until May 2021. So they're already working ahead of themselves. They announce a basic standard in May 2021 at the same time. And by February 2022, the first chips come out. The standard isn't finalized until way later in July 2025, meaning that things that came out might not necessarily meet what the standardized rollout is. Wi-Fi has 3 bands, 2.4 being incredibly saturated. And there's a lot of interference because it is an overused band. Everything from USB-free devices to smart meters and car alarms can just drop your network. 5 was a bit better in terms of it expanded quite a lot. But the total channels here were what were designed. Before the expansion, at the end, which happened in 2017, we didn't have anything that was on the DFS channels or this pink bit at the very end. And DFS channels aren't supported by all devices. So without the expansion and without the DFS support, you're back down to just 4 channels. Even though DFS support dynamic frequency selection, being, there's a radar or a military detection thing on this channel, I'll swap. Even though that's been up for a while, Roku doesn't support it. And as we know, that's the only place to see poor Hollywood. Wi-Fi 6E brought out the 6 gigahertz band, which had a huge number of channels and it wasn't in use. But that's for some countries and not others. Again, a non-universal rollout means that Wi-Fi 6E and 7 can't use 6 gigahertz fully because there's no guarantee it will work in every country. And standalone 5G is aiming for a sub 6 gigahertz bandwidth to improve its rollout of its own services. Mesh Wi-Fi isn't really a mesh at all. Topology, despite still discussing switches, isn't about tops. This 6-figure diagram, all of them are connected to each other. So if there's ever a point of failure, all of them continue. A mesh Wi-Fi network is not that. If one point fails, depending on where it is on the line, everything after it will fail. A lot of mesh networks consist of your main router and then wireless satellites being placed around. If they are not hardwired into each other via Ethernet, you end up splitting your own bandwidth. So just from going from your hub, a satellite, and connecting to that one, you will have gone through halving it once and then halving it again, giving you with just 25%, whereas hardwired continues whatever's coming in from the outside world. And it's expensive. A lot of things, particularly Eero, sell you the exact same hub multiple times, even though that's not stuff that you require. With the planned obsolescence, Wi-Fi 7 requires WPA3 as a standard, and that prevents any old, quote-unquote, old technology from connecting. There are things that you can buy today that do not support WPA3, even if it came out this year. So you will just be immediately forced to upgrade that device as well. Misleading marketing. I've picked on Netgear because every time I searched in the new shitty AI Wi-Fi search, Google search, sorry, it kept forcing Netgear's false claims to the front, and it built up a resentment, which is why I'm picking on it. So this was a 6E thing that came out asking for £700 just for the initial device. And it claims to have 11 megabits per second Wi-Fi speeds. But even today, the fastest you can get is 5 gig, which is 5,000 into your house. That port on the back does allow 10, but there's still a discrepancy of 800. So already they have misleading claims. When you break down what that 10,800 is, it is in fact 4 bands, even though there's only 3. One of them is being doubled, which is the 5 gigahertz, which is what the wireless backhaul does. Again, it's not usable. It should never have been included, even in their own fake calculations. An example or an analogy of this in the real world would be on the next slide. So this is me taking the acclaimed 11,000 megabits per second and just cutting it right down to the best potential on the 6 gigahertz band. If I had a toll road and I said that you should come along on it, even though it's expensive, I have a speed limit of 80 on my road. So you pay, you get on. And it's actually a combination of a 30 mile per hour lane, a 20, but you can't use it, that's for buses only, a 20 and a 10. You would be frustrated if I said, well, actually it is 80 because of all the lanes running at the same time. By that very logic, the M25 is the dankest road in England. by having 6 lanes of 70 miles per hour, making it 420 both ways. MIMO means multiple in, multiple output. Even though it's got 4 aerials, your phone probably doesn't, or your laptop probably doesn't, because that's too many aerials for a battery device. So you immediately have to chop that down from this graph here to 2,400. The further away you get, the slower it is, and it is quick. It's an inverse square law drop-off. So think every time that you double your distance, you drop by 6 decibels, and the difference between amazing at 30, negative 30, to unusable at negative 67 is not that far away. Starting having walls and different parts of interference drop it even quicker. Also, newer versions of Wi-Fi can only be used as close to the router as possible. You're much more likely to be approximately 10 meters away, 5 potentially. I've been generous here and given it just within 10, like just outside 10. But even still, that cuts off another gig. With the data packets being sent backwards and forwards, there's Wi-Fi overhead or a data envelope that tells it where it's going. In hardwire, that's 5% is lost, just the envelope. In Wi-Fi, it's between 20 to 40. So giving it an average of 30% with 10% either side, we are now at just above a gig, which is 90.8% loss for using Wi-Fi. And that's what you'll get unless you have neighbors, or ultra-wideband Bluetooth, or an Apple AirTag, or electrical appliances, or walls, or a second Wi-Fi device, which would immediately cut your bandwidth in half. Or you could do this. Have 2 mid-tier Wi-Fi routers, a flat 20-meter Cat8 Ethernet, a flat 2-meter Cat8 Ethernet. Just set it up as an additional access point. And then hardwired, you will be able to get just shy of 2.5 gig. Or just over half of the price of just one being pushed, like, router. And then I spent far too long making this. This is Ethernet 5 eters. Annie, Cat, your gun. I'm done.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And you're still with us, right? You still on the line? In either case, a fantastic presentation, a debunking of consumer electronic myths, and some genuine consumer advice as well. Funky may be returning. In the meantime, if you do have any questions on the talk you've just heard, use plus FunkyQ to ask a question. I do think, yeah, people are right to point out that this is a very suspicious time for someone's internet to cut out. Hello and welcome back. I think, hang on, I don't think I was hearing you just then. Somewhere along the chain, something's muted. And I'm going to say it's probably on your end. You are subtitled, though, as has been pointed out. It's okay if it's yeah, sure. I'll make you really big so that we can definitely see the subtitle. This is good. This is big internet. Brilliant. I'll keep talking. Do you want me to read your thing out? Brilliant. I'll keep talking so you can see. Okay, do we have any questions for Funky? You can put them in using that command, although really I could probably just see them. I know that there was one we had already. I'm not saying it discredits the talk. Either they're being attacked by big Wi-Fi or they've set their Wi-Fi up wrong. Okay, I think I'm now on my own. Here are the questions that we have. Funky Mr. Chicken's voice is too dangerous, so must be read out by Morl. Sorry, I'm in the pocket of big Netgear. I have to hit the big red button when we get too close to the truth. It's very funny. Oh, hello.
Hello. I just decided to shut it down and start again, which is a tried and true tech thing, I think.
It is safest. Welcome back. I've got a little cadre of questions to ask you. Let's start with an ultra beginner query. What does Wi-Fi stand for?
Wi-Fi doesn't stand for wireless fidelity, but then it did because they claimed it did, but then they went back on themselves and claimed it didn't.
During the times when Wi-Fi didn't stand for wireless fidelity, what did it stand for then?
That's the very initial thing was just they made up a bunch of buzzwords as a marketing firm and just pulled them out of a hat and saw how they felt. Wi-Fi came from that hat, and then they like backronymed it.
I see. Do you believe Wi-Fi has good mouthfeel?
I think now I have seen hi-fis and I've heard them, and I think that maybe if you keep saying hi-fi enough, that Wi-Fi kind of feels like a little extension. But I feel like that hi-fi bass line can't be excluded, but I wouldn't pick it these days. It sounds better than WLAN, the wireless local area network.
But not as good as WAP.
Oh, WAP. The world would be very different if we were just like, have you got your WAP password?
So they wanted it to sound like, well, they were trying to go off of hi-fi, that naming convention. Was it built out of that?
It didn't begin like that, but then halfway through, they were like, oh, it does kind of sound like hi-fi. And then on their own website of the Wi-Fi Alliance, it said the wireless fidelity or the best fidelity, and then stopped and dropped that. And it was, and then they claimed it never actually stood for it. It was just, that was a slogan they put on that implied it, but they never said.
Harry Hardy asks, what is the best Wi-Fi SSID you've ever seen with your own eyes?
This one grandma.
This one grandma?
As in like this one, as in like if grandma was looking for the Wi-Fi,
oh yeah,
didn't know which one to connect. It's that one. That's the one I saw, and I was like, I know that.
Yeah,
I know that feeling.
I was interpreting it the other way, like being like this one grandma, like this one time I met this one grandma. Like you're nostalgic.
Have you ever met a grandma, Sean?
Yeah, all the time. I don't think we've all met a grandma. This at least one grandma.
I'm sure someone hasn't.
Yeah, and to that person, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's happened, and we don't have time to get into it, but I'm really sorry. Last question from Martijn. Should they teach how to set up your Wi-Fi at school? Should this be solved through the education system?
I think it may cause frustration with the kids knowing what to do because they've been taught it, and then the bill payer making stupid decisions like joining a EE trial that has dodgy Wi-Fi that means it keeps dropping in and out, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that teaching kids about how to set up Wi-Fi and ideally a hardwired Ethernet house would be great long term, but there will be a lot of frustration when it first begins.
Yeah, I can only imagine giving your 12-year-old control of the admin key for the router means you're never going to gate them out of content ever again. That's going to be the most brain-pickled child you're going to encounter.
Yeah, I've seen lots of, I have seen adults ask their child, what is the password for the iPad so that they can download an app because the kid knows it to buy Robux.
Yeah, we're in a... Okay, well, thank you again, Funky. I think that's all the time we have for questions anyway. But thank you very much for your presentation. I was just saying, thank you very much for your presentation. I think that's our last question. And given...
Oh, did I drop out again?
You did, yeah. And so I'm trying to push you off the stream permanently. But thank you very much. I've learned a lot. And I might even be in touch with how to set up that. If you want, on the Discord, you could leave a little... They're gone. Do you know what? It's partially my fault for not giving a clear out. But really, I'd give 95% of the blame over to Netgear. Okay. But I do think, Funky, if you ever hear the thing I'm saying currently, I am genuinely, as an internet power user, I might be interested in what you're saying here. I have a couple of spare routers, and I think maybe the setup you're describing as the optimal one could really come in handy for people. All right, that was FunkyMrChicken with It's So Hard to Be Wi-Fi These Days. And we're going to move on now to our third presentation of the evening. Although I think I'm about to wire into an empty room. Let's see how it pans out. And we also have a screen share.
Am I coming through audio-wise?
You are coming through audio-wise.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. How are we doing?
Astonishing.
I'm excited.
Would you like me to bring your screen share up now? And do you want that full screen?
Yes, please. I can still be on in the corner.
100%. The floor is yours. Please enjoy.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the 1979 Muppet movie and some of the really cool puppetry on display in that film. I don't have that much time, and there's a lot to talk about in this film, so let's get started. Where am I clicking? There we go. So Muppet Show is, like I say, the first ever Muppet movie. It was from 1979, only 3 years after the show premiered. It was shopped around in America a lot, and it took a British producer called Lou Grade to actually make it, in the end, in London. So this started just about 2 years into the Muppet Show project. and it's really good. It's just genuinely a good, funny film. I will be spoiling it, not just plot elements, but how it's made as well. Because, damn, Jim and his team, they did great. So the first thing I want to talk about in this film is scale. Because while the Muppet Show was actually pretty high budget, it was, that's part of the reason they struggled to have it made. The film is something else. And it was only an $8 million budget, which isn't the hugest, but they did a lot. Let's have a look. So this is from the end of the film. Let me just, if I go here. The film is on Internet Archive, by the way, which is very handy for me. So this shot towards the end of the film, that's a lot of puppets, right? That's a ton of puppets. And that's just brute force. One of the things I love about this film is it brute forces so much stuff. That is 250 puppets, manned by about 130 puppet performers. Among them, John Landis, who directed American Werewolf in London, and Tim Burton, before he'd done anything of note. They just everyone. Jim Henson's kids were there. It was a lot. And this is a behind the scenes photo. You can just about see on this side the pit full of puppets. They're all there. Sorry, sometimes I have to adjust myself. Actually, before I get to this, I want to elucidate on scale. So, not that. Yes. So I'm aiming for 4738, and I just want to demonstrate scale here. Just through this use of amazing prop work. That's huge. That's a huge cream pie. That's a big deal. Not only that, but in the conclusion of the film, Animal has, where's my tab? In the conclusion of the film, Animal has got some grow quick pills. No funny business. And this happens at 1:22:20. I apologize for the quality of this, but this happens, and you'd think that's a miniature. That's not a miniature. That is a 16-foot tall animal head. They just made it for real. They so easily could have made it just small and filmed it right, but they wanted to do it proper. And I really respect that, the commitment to scale. The second thing is walking and talking. This is a shot from the same scene, and you can see there some of the Muppets are standing. When you see the shot in motion, they are, some of them moving their heads. I think how this one works is that they've got people, like a select few puppeteers behind here, and the rest are just kind of on rods, and maybe on radio-controlled puppetry, which is just so cool. They created a guy called Fazakan, I think, created radio-controlled Muppets for this called Waldos. And that's just one of the tapestry of of types of puppetry that they used here. So I'm just going to be showing this because of how cool it is, and because you don't notice when you're watching how good it is. So in this scene, Kermit's alone in the desert and he starts talking to himself. And okay, they could make 2 Kermit puppets. But look at that rock he's on. There has to be a hole in that rock and someone underneath it to operate the other Kermit. That's just so cool. It's just so good. Not only that, but a couple, where's my keyboard? A couple of seconds later, we see Kermit. There he is, he's just standing up. He's just standing. Ridiculous, man. The commitment to Muppets walking and talking is something else. There's a full dance number. And incidentally, this talk is not particularly about how this stuff was done. It is mainly just incredulity that they did it. So here, are we around the right time? I'm looking for 1452, yeah. So bear in mind how a puppet works, how a hand puppet works, and look at this scene. Their whole bodies are dancing. Now this might be a composite shot. I'm not exactly sure how this one was done. I think it's a composite, or there's a fake section of the backdrop, maybe along this seam here. But it's amazing work regardless, and a big flex from Jim. Just a couple of minutes after having... Oh, let's not have the sound on. Just a couple of minutes. Oh, dear. Sorry, technical problems. After this, Kermit the Frog is riding a bicycle. How did they do this? How did they have Kermit riding a bicycle? Well, originally they built a very fragile robot, and then the robot didn't work. So then they got a big crane, and the big crane just held... Ugh, excuse me, my arms are very long, so I need to reach over. And you can see, watch for a shadow going past here, and Kermit is just flying away. But this seems like an absolute mess of an experience. In this shot, he's just not moving at all. The fact they must have had to do this so much just to hold up this bike on wires. And it just must have taken so long. They said it took about a day to get a minute of footage in this film. I love it so much. 1 second. Okay. Water. Water is a big part of this film. It follows Kermit the Frog and his journey from a swamp. And famously, it starts with him playing the Rainbow Connection in this swamp. And he's not even in this scenario. You can see in this image where a Jim Henson might go, but it's not even like that. If I get my thing up. Okay, so let's look at Kermit here. where's Jim? Where's Jim in this situation? Because that's just a floating log, right? Well, Jim is in a barrel under the water, and he has a line for his headset for voicing the frog. He has an air tube to breathe through, and he has a rubber sleeve to operate Kermit, along with a monitor, excuse me, to see how he's doing that. Amazing. There's a segment later in the film where Kermit rows a boat, amazing in its own regard, but then he falls in and drowns. I think for this one, they just had these puppeteers under the water. That's what I gather from this behind-the-scenes picture. Also, look, they're so hot. They're all so hot. Puppeteers are hot. And finally, I'd like to end with a segment just called How Did They Do That? Which is a bit of an exploration, a bit of a behind-the-scenes, starting with just a shot that I love. One sec. Oh, no. One sec, folks. All right. So to gear us up here, Animal has been asked in this shot, which takes place in this movie theater. Oh, come on, archive.org, don't fail me now. Where's it? Where's the refresh? My eyesight's not very good. My eyes are made of ping pong balls. And I am hurrying it up, I promise. Okay. Just... No! Sorry, I'm juggling a lot of things here. Right. In this shot, Animal eats a seat cushion there. Standard, right? But he's a puppet. How did he do that? Well, I think you can see the seams of where the seat cushion would come off. But how's it get in his mouth? Look at the cushion next to it. It jiggles a little bit. I think this is when another member of the crew is putting some foam in Animal's mouth, and at the right time to line it up, they rip the rest of it apart. Animal pulls away, and he's got that foam in his mouth. It's just, and you don't notice. You don't notice when you're in the middle of it. It's so good. A big part of this film, it is a road trip movie. A big part of it is the driving, which you might imagine is easy enough, maybe. If you're a nerd. So, all right. Yeah, this could be rear projection. This could be them being basically on a trailer, being hauled by a truck with puppeteers in a fake car. Okay. No, that's a big fork in the road. That's Big Bird. Like, I thought this was a different bit. Okay, let me find a different bit just to elucidate my point. At 1:07, 8. And I want you to look inside the car here. And I want you to think about this. That, okay, this could be just being trailed, but look inside the car. And I'll full screen that. The puppets are inside the car. So who's driving it? And also bear in mind just how complex this shot is in terms of the pyrotechnics. The hood just popped open. It's so good. And then having to keep this shot still as it's about to fade off into something else. Really good. But how are they in the car? Is it just a guy in a fuzzy suit? No. No, there is a guy in the boot, a stunt driver in the boot with a steering wheel, a monitor to see what's happening, and a walkie-talkie to the crew. And the entire rest of the car isn't operated by the usual car means so that it can fit the puppeteers in there. Wow! It's so good. It's so good. One tiny shot that I couldn't find any information on. At 27, 24. This shot. So Kermit goes up to the mirror. Okay, yeah, you can. This is on screen for like a second. Think about where the camera should be. Think about where the camera would be filming this, and the fact that there's a mirror. It's so good. And the shot, the one shot that made me want to look into this properly at the start of this scene, and that is Orson Welles. But that wasn't it. This shot, that's not a radio-controlled Kermit. The camera is panning in, and he's on a stool with nothing beneath him. How's that done? It's the oldest trick in the book. It's your friend of mine. Some wet people. No. It's a little mirror under half of the stool, so Jim Henson is there, but you don't see him because the mirror works so well. Like this, there's an entire Muppets fandom page on Muppets on stools. I do recommend it. And I just think the entire film is so cool, and it brings so much joy, and you don't even see the amazing work they did because you're invested in the characters and the feel. These people did amazing work, and I'm so grateful to them. And I could talk about this for hours more, but I will stop. Thank you. Oh, wait, this does something fun. Whee! Woo-hoo! Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you very much for that presentation. How are your arms holding up?
Yeah. Oh, they're doing all right. My this arm's a bit shorter.
Yeah, okay. Not causing you any impediments then. Happy to continue living.
Whatever do you mean?
We have a few questions in from the chat. First, you've been called out into some puppet Muppet taxonomy questions. What's the difference between a puppet, a Muppet, or is a Muppet a puppet, or is a puppet not a Muppet? And does it also mean that a Muppet is not a puppet? That's by Harry Hardy.
Muppets is puppets. Muppets is a state of mind. a puppet can be a Muppet. Not all puppets are Muppets. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and that seems pretty straightforward. Benamation asks, what is your second favourite Muppet movie and what is your third favourite Muppet movie?
Ooh. So I feel the pull of culture here tells me to say Muppet Christmas Carol is in there, but it's actually not. Muppet Treasure Island is number 2. And I think Great Muppet Caper. I grew up with Great Muppet Caper, so that's probably number 3.
Tidy list. Josie Russell has asked, do you know what happened to the gigantic animal head?
No, I saw a Reddit thread hypothesizing, but no one seems to know where it's gone.
I'm guessing yeah. It's always tricky with the large props because sometimes no one knows what to do with them. KingOfThyme has asked, how do they make the shots where Kermit appears to be standing unsupported?
So his legs so how these work is the mixture of techniques covers up for the shortcomings in others. Where Kermit stands unaided, his legs are solid, so they would hold up his body. And sometimes it's a remote control Waldo by radio control that is operating his head. You don't get some of the nice scrunch though with that. It's pretty good, but you don't get the scrunch. So in some cases, there's a false backdrop or some fun mirror work or camera trickery to get around that.
Martijn has asked, would the Muppet movie still be a good film if it had no Muppets in it?
I think if the Muppets were all people, it would still be a good film because it is a film about finding a sense of community in otherness and finding a group of performers who will really commit and be true and faithful to each other. I think that is what being a Muppet means. So I think it would work without felt and foam, yeah.
Albert has asked, who is the best Muppet? And if you didn't say New Zealand, why not?
New Zealand's pretty good. I do like New Zealand, but it is my responsibility as a trans person to say Gonzo because Gonzo is non-binary.
That's huge. Huge early representation. I think we'll move on here, even though there are more questions being added, but we must move on for time. Any last Muppet fact you want to share before we cast you off?
Jim Henson recruited Frank Oz straight out of high school. Thanks, everybody. Feel free to ask me questions privately.
I'm sure you can find Lucy on Blue Sky, on Twitch, in the Discord. Thank you very much for sharing this knowledge. I don't know if how you are presenting this evening is bespoke to this, but it looks like you've done an incredible amount of work all round.
Well, thank you for having me. Looking forward to the other talks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Incredible. Each talk about as disconnected in theme and topic as you could possibly get. I love the cocktail of what you can get. We're now moving into, by what coincidence happens to be, the pre-record block. This is the first year where I've allowed people to pre-record their presentations, just to allow a greater amount of visual style and allow more different people to take part. This next one is from MaggieFBK. It is called The Life of Y, Felt and Seen. And it is going to begin now. That was The Life of Y, Felt and Seen by MaggieFBK. A short and insightful presentation about just making a thing because you wish it to exist. You simply love to see it. If there are any questions for Maggie, Maggie has pointed out very reasonably that she has a sore throat. She, like everyone else, is sickly and will be answering in the chat. But if you do have any questions, pop them in now. Yeah. As stated here, very understandable this time of year. I frankly think it's a miracle that we're all alive. Josie Russells, well, you can read for yourself. You're also in the chat. How long did it take to make this? And I want to add to that, where does it live now? Is it on display? A great question from Amy. I don't want to pile up the questions while you're still answering one. but also I feel this need to fill the air, so I will read it. It took about 6 hours of the course of a few nights. Amy's asked, was cutting the snake round parts really hard? And what did you use? Very good snake question, Benamation. I feel we're going to spin out into questions just about snakes more generally, but I welcome it. You can't ask snake questions now. I don't think you're going to get a better opportunity. That being said, I don't know the full contents of everything upcoming. Right now, the head is living on a flat surface so the glue can dry. Oh, this is true up-to-date felting. This is the bleeding edge of your felting career. I did the roundy snakes on my cry cut, so not hard at all. I'm not a felter, so I don't know what that is. You're welcome to elaborate or leave it as mysterious as you wish. Harry has, I'm going to call it frivolously, asked, if you could compare your current voice to that of a celebrity, which celebrity would you choose? I think that's completely outside the scope of the talk, actually. I hoped the word snake would appear when I was reading it, and it just didn't. Someone with no voice, yeah? Fluff Weasel's asking if you how did you find your cry cut? I mean, you could read all this for yourself. I feel really like a spare wheel here. Just talk and read amongst yourselves. I'm here. I'm happy. I'll plug back in when you need me. Let me get this little head here. Cry cut's a cutting machine. I mean, that makes so much sense. Do you know what? I should have inferred that, really. All right, what else have we got? Does the snake know where the giant animal head... You don't have to answer that. I don't want to come across as a tyrant, but I think that question was said just for fun. I think that's just a little bit of levity. And I know I don't speak for everyone. I'm not here for levity. I'm here for liquid information going straight into my arteries. Are you accepting questions too? No, I'm just talking over everything. Don't ask me things. I spent a weekend jailbreaking and filing off the back of a truck circuit patterns for my girlfriend's mum's for Mother's Day. That's sweet. Everyone put their own favourite fictional snake in the chat. I get questions every other stream. This finally is a chance for some inter-community communication. Snake from The Simpsons? Yeah, he's pretty good. I love the big snake from Sekiro. I don't know if that's too specific. Wonderful, scary albino snake. Yeah, here I'm trying to fill time and I have an easy to answer question right in front of me. It was a trap. I'm easily fooled. And rather than feeling like a fool, I feel like a wrong has happened. Snake Plissken, that's pretty good. Jormungandr, yeah, why not? Another one for Snake Plissken, yeah? All right, now that we're just talking about our favourite snakes, I think we've extracted everything we want. We've dwelled sufficiently. Thank you, Maggie, for your excellent presentation. I hope at least one of us is inspired to make a mythological beast from antiquity out of felt. And with that done, we are going to continue our pre-record section. This next, yes, TYMFBK in the chat. Thank you, MaggieFBK. An incredible contribution, as always. And rocketing to the stage next. This is another pre-recorded presentation. This is Dan McKee with the theme tunes of Tony Hatch. Please enjoy.
makes good neighbors.
Neighbours. One of the most played songs on BBC television, if not the most played theme tune on BBC television. What I want to talk to you about is the person who wrote it. A forgotten genius of British television called Tony Hatch. Not only did he write Neighbours, he wrote the theme to Emmerdale, which was inexplicably popular in Sweden when a Swedish language version went to #1. It does have lyrics which go, Emmerdale Farm, this is Emmerdale Farm. He also wrote the theme to forgotten Birmingham soap opera Crossroads. That's not the theme to Crossroads. That's Kate Robbins, who was in Crossroads and released a record, which was coincidentally written by a man called Simon May, who also did the theme to Howard's Way and EastEnders. He did the Doof Doofs. But back to Tony Hatch. Tony Hatch wrote Crossroads, Emmerdale and Neighbours. He was the judge on New Faces. Imagine a judge on a talent show who actually has talent. Neighbours ends this month. Emmerdale's Farm's still going. Crossroads is still remembered by a few of us. His songs are broadcast 7 times a week. That's pretty good going for a man mostly forgotten. We always talk about the great geniuses being Lennon and McCartney, but let me tell you, they couldn't write a tune played 3 times a week at 7:30 on ITV, twice a day on BBC. Tony Hatch did. And we should remember him.
Just a friendly wave each morning.
That was the theme tunes of Tony Hatch by Dan McKee, aka Man with Bag on His Head, in the chat. ITV regional content mentioned. You simply love to see it. Once again, this time our presenter will also be answering questions in the chat, so please put them in here, or you send them in using the command and I'll read them out in an order that I think is correct. So do you have any queries, want to learn more, extract further wisdom on the theme tunes of Tony Hatch, or, as the nature of the questions have gone on, ask about any other Tonys or Hatches that you're interested in? What's the command? It's the tagged. It's in the tagged message. It's plus McKee Q and then put in a question. Benamation asks, was Tony Hatch inspired by the music at the time in the making of his theme song? Or did he derive an entirely new genre from first principles? Yeah, which music do you mean? This is such a legacy. I have a big fondness for British theme tune music. That kind of sort of light jazz, lounge, big band. Big Popper Peter asks, were any of his theme songs a real hatchet job? He was in a duo with Jackie Trent, who were wildly popular. Benamation, who should, for context, I should point out, lives in LA and isn't necessarily going to know Neighbours or Crossroads, right? For some context on how removed Benamation's going to be from this music. I don't know anything about this show or anything, so I just wondered if he was composing based on what was popular on the radio or time at something. Oh, Sarah 4TW asks, did Honey hatch anything else? Did he ever, for instance, hatch an egg? Oh, and apparently has an OBE. Yeah, there's a... Do you know what? His Wikipedia image is really substandard. It's like a quick phone picture. Kind of lets him down. And he's still going as well. Born 1939. Still kicking. I don't know if he's kicking. Maybe that's beyond him. But he's still living. Harry Harding asked, did Tony Hatch live in a hutch? Man with bag on his head says, you'll like this. He did a song which was on the B-side of the single release of the theme to World at War. That's great. I love these like archetypical, ubiquitous theme tune composers. My big guy, Sid Dale. Do you know Sid Dale, Dan? I mean, he's a bit earlier, right? He's 60s, 70s, I think. I'm a bit of a Sid Dale guy. Oh no, it turns no, actually. Hatch was a contemporary. He was 60s, 70s, and into 80s. An oubliette. Thank you very much for your presentation. Dan, thank you for talking us through that. I hope people have extracted any further knowledge they need. I hope people have used this opportunity for brain expansion. TYD in the chat for thank you, Dan. And please shower them with praise and applause. Now we have but 2 presentations left, and I'm honored to bring in our penultimate talk of the evening. This is KingOfThyme with, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Vnexpected A to Z of Doctor Who Sick. The universe of Doctor Who is just a TV show, and the alphabet can prove it. Welcome aboard. You've just frozen. An incredible freeze frame. Sometimes you can't plan these things, but if I could have planned these things, I would have planned it to do exactly that, I think. That would have been my ideal. Netgear is once again back in the tubes, wrecking our fun. Man with bag on his head has made clear they are open for questions at any time at your peril. Okay, let's just believe in the power of Wi-Fi. I do think it's incredibly apposite that after the Wi-Fi conglomerate, the Wi-Fi anti-consumer syndicate has finally had the crosshairs put on their head, we've been struggling time and time again to establish a basic foundational connection. Netgear is here with its big hammer. Ethernet will set you free. I mean, I'm on internet. I'm on Ethernet. But I know for a fact KingOfThyme always streams from inside his fridge, which is lined with lead.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you... Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. You're going to get... Let me mute that. How's this looking?
It's...
I don't know what happened there, but I'm very red, aren't I? But I can see what's going on now.
When you said how's this looking, I really did have to be like, shall I mention that he's bright red?
I don't know why that's happened, but I can deal with that.
We like red, KingOfThyme. Would you like to be full screened?
Yes, please.
All right. The floor is now yours. Please
Lovely.
Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to an unexpected A to Z of Doctor Who. Sick. First of all, what is the alphabet? The alphabet is a set of graphs or characters used to represent the phonemic structure of a language. In most alphabets, the characters are arranged in a definite order or sequence. The English alphabet goes like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. What is Doctor Who? Doctor Who is both a British television series and a global multimedia franchise known as the Whoniverse, created and controlled by the BBC. One viewer described it as too stupid for words. So let's take a look at the use of the alphabet in Doctor Who. In The Mask of Mandragora from 1976, the Doctor asks his companion Sarah Jane Smith to recite the alphabet backwards in order to counter a mental attack from the Mandragora helix. Listen to what she says. Now, we'll find out whether the audio of this works or not, but the Doctor says ZYX, and Sarah Jane continues WUVTS. In accordance to our own alphabet. No audio, that's a shame. I don't know why that is, sorry. I can tell you what happens. The Doctor says, focus on something, anything, recite the alphabet backwards. Z, Y, X, and Sarah Jane continues WUVTS. Mandragora, sorry. That is how the Doctor pronounces it. Mandragora. ZYXWUVTS. She gets the U and the V the wrong way round in accordance to the alphabet that you or I might know. So, why does Sarah Jane Smith imply that the alphabet ends STVUWXYZ? And there are three possible reasons for this. One, the actor Elizabeth Sladen flubbed her line and it made the cut. Two, it was a character choice for Sarah Jane to get the alphabet wrong due to the pressure of mind control. Or three, that's just how the alphabet goes in the world of Doctor Who. And I think this is the most interesting reason, because it should be very easy to either prove or disprove. All we need to do is find other examples of the alphabet in Doctor Who and see if they align with this theory. Fortunately, Doctor Who has been running for 62 years, so the English alphabet has probably come up again. So let's look at other examples of the alphabet in Doctor Who. I am only aware of these other three examples of the alphabet within the TV show. I'm not looking at other media like Big Finish audio dramas or comic books or written media. I'm just looking at the TV show. Three other examples. First of all, in Shada, Professor Chronotis or Chronitis, I can't remember how it's pronounced. Chronotis, I think that's right. Tries to recall the name of a student he lent a book to and goes through the alphabet. I would do the audio for you. Professor, what was his name? Let me think. A, no, doesn't begin with A. B, 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 C? No, it doesn't begin with C. D. It cuts away, comes back later, and he goes P, Q, R, X, X, Y. Young. Yes, that's it. Young Parsons. So we get some sections of the alphabet there. Next, in the episode Midnight, one of my personal favourites, the 10th Doctor encounters a woman named Sky who is possessed by a creature that makes her repeat everything everyone says. This progresses to her speaking in synchronization, so the Doctor tests how quickly she can keep up with him. And he says this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. And then he stops the alphabet at the letter O. And the third example is in Dot and Bubble. In Dot and Bubble, the 15th Doctor discovers a settlement being attacked by slug-like monsters. seemingly eating people at random. They later realize that the creatures are eating the citizens in alphabetical order by surname. And this is the moment where they realize that. Before that, Valerie Nook, before that, Cooper Mercy, before that, someone else, before that, so-and-so. It's been a week since anyone's heard from Kirsty Bookkeep. They're eating everyone in alphabetical order. It's a bit more complicated in this scene, but we get some more examples of the alphabet, but crucially, we never get to see it past the letter P. What we can draw here are 4 examples of the alphabet in Doctor Who. None of them contradict, but they lead to this order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, V, U, W, X, Y, Z. If we highlight the 3 letters that differentiate this alphabet from our own, we get T, V, U. Perhaps TVU stands for Television Universe. Is this a sign that Doctor Who exists only inside a fictional television show? In the first ever episode in 1963, The Unearthly Child, when the Doctor is challenged on how the TARDIS could possibly be bigger on the inside, he compares it to a television. He says this quote here. He says, you say you can't fit an enormous building into one of your smaller sitting rooms? Then by showing an enormous building on your television screen, you can do what seemed impossible, couldn't you? The show continuously puts its characters on in-universe television screens. The 60th anniversary specials in 2023 feature John Logie Baird and the invention of television. The T in Russell T Davies stands for television. Here are some other examples which quite heavily point to Doctor Who being a work of fiction within its own universe. First of all, in the top left, you've got In the Forest of the Night. We briefly see a bus with an advert on it that features the TARDIS, the 12th Doctor, and his companion Clara. In Remembrance of the Daleks, the 7th Doctor and Ace travel to 1963, which is when Doctor Who first aired in our reality, and we briefly catch a glimpse of the show being introduced on TV. This is BBC television. The time is 5:15, and Saturday viewing continues in a new science fiction show, Doc, and then it cuts off. More recently, in Lux, the 15th Doctor and Belinda Chandra step out of a television into the living room of some Doctor Who fans. The Doctor later says to them, "Let me get this right. I am not real. My life is fictional. And you sit and you watch me on the TV." And in this year's finale, The Reality War, villain Conrad reads the story of Doctor Who via televisions to the world. So, what is the simulation trilemma? In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom argued that at least one of the following propositions is true. 1. The human species is very likely to go extinct before reaching a post-human stage. 2. Any post-human civilization is extremely unlikely to run a significant number of simulations of their evolutionary history. Or 3. We are almost certainly living in a computer simulation. So basically, the simulation theory means that if you believe we will one day develop fully accurate simulations of reality, then the number of simulated consciousnesses is infinite. And that means we are all certainly living within a simulation. This is a sci-fi trope which has been explored many times. It's even been explored in Doctor Who in the episode Extremis. Many scientists and mathematicians think that this is all codswallop. What if we substitute simulated realities for fictional ones? René Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." Fictional characters think, or at least believe they are thinking. So, what separates their reality from our own? If a fictional character can believe they exist in an actual reality, what separates them from us? Simulation theory requires a hypothetical on whether we will one day be able to simulate reality. We already have fictional realities. So if the Whoniverse exists within itself, we can presume that there are infinite Whoniverses that contain infinite fictional consciousnesses. As the number approaches infinity, the likelihood that we are at the top of the ladder actually becomes 0. So it is far more likely that we are all living inside a fictional Whoniverse. So, some final thoughts on all of this. This shouldn't be a cause to feel dissociation or derealization. A bit of existentialism is okay. Don't panic. It doesn't matter if we exist in a fictional reality or not. So be good. And that is the end of my talk.
Fantastic. Let me just shrink you down a little bit.
Yeah, let me make my head big.
Yes.
A big red head.
If you could become a big red head, that would be great. Thank you very much for that. A beautiful presentation, may I just say. The aesthetics and the layouts, crisp and clean.
Thank you.
Let's just start the questions with the obvious one. Is this real right now?
No, this could all be like within a TV show, within Doctor Who.
Like we're filming it because like actors are real and stuff, and cameras are real. So,
I wouldn't say we're the actors. We are the characters. We are the figments of imagination.
all right. So, is there a corresponding actor for me?
Possibly, yeah.
Well, but it's not me.
No,
just talk me through.
Someone else
just talk me through that.
There's another level of reality above us where someone who looks exactly like you, who's not Sean Morley, is playing your character.
Yeah. I've still got questions on this.
Yeah.
So there's someone who gets up in their different bed, goes to work, and at work they're doing this. Where are they? Where's that happening in my life? Because I'm conscious. Are they doing it when I'm asleep? Is that? Then I get up and I go to their house.
I mean, maybe not necessarily what's happening right now. I don't know. This is quite interesting. This could be part of it.
I think it's good.
But, like the bits where you're sleeping, like that's probably not going to be part of the TV show, but they still happen. Like characters in TV shows remember doing things that aren't necessarily shown on screen.
But if I was a character in a TV show, wouldn't I have these weird gaps in my memory? Like if I was a character in Coronation Street, I would only have at most half an hour of memories per day.
Yeah, but they don't. None of them claim that. They all they're all aware of other things going on. Just because
they never go
TV
like.
Doesn't mean it doesn't.
I'm only awake for half an hour, and outside of that is a void.
Yeah,
and people are like, "Yeah, why even mention that?" That's true of everyone.
Mm.
Yeah, you bring up. It's actually very hard to think about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Coronation Street is extra confusing because they seemingly don't experience weekends. They'll say tomorrow on a Friday, and then whatever the thing they said they were going to do tomorrow happens on a Monday. But
they live in a sort of a folded reality.
Yeah, but none of them question it, you know?
Yeah, none of them ever look directly into the camera like in The Office.
Yeah.
And I'd love that. I'd love Roy to look directly at me and say, "Hello, Sean."
Yeah, I'd love that.
I mean, I'd feel a really deep fear as well, but I feel like in the moment I'd be like, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay, we've got a huge amount of questions in.
Right.
I don't know what this means, but Robot Cooper has asked, have you considered the possibility that they just exist in the Vale Yard universe?
Who exists in the Vale Yard universe? Like, Right, I'm trying to think what happens with the Veil Yard. I
Could you
mean,
explain what that is, the Veil Yard universe?
so series 23 with the 6th Doctor, he gets put on trial for not obeying the rules of Time Lord Society. And the person putting him on trial is the Veil Yard. But it's then later revealed that the Veil Yard is a future regeneration of the Doctor who's evil. And I think it ends with the Veil Yard putting the Doctor in some kind of simulation. But, we could be within a simulation within a fictional universe, or a fictional universe within a simulation. The two theories don't cancel each other out.
Huge and actually kind of confusing. A little show admin note. Benamation, would you be willing to come into the OBS Ninja call to be in the queue for a few minutes' time while we continue the Q&A? Grugger Smith has asked, you mentioned that Doctor Who has companions. How does this companionship map to diphthongs / consonant clusters? Do you understand the nature of that question?
I don't. What is it? What is a diphthong?
A diphthong is a sound that changes, like
I feel like diphthongs are bigger questions for the Muppets, right? Don't you have to worry about your diphthongs if you're doing puppetry?
I think that's ventriloquism.
Yeah. But
whereas if Jim Henson doesn't need to do ventriloquism because his head is hidden.
Yeah. So what is a diphthong?
A diphthong, Josie Russell's got it here. It's when you do two vowel sounds. Josie, can you give me like a good archetypical word with a diphthong in it? I'm trying to think of one. And also, whether or not you have a diphthong in a word will also depend on your accent. Josie suggested ow. Yeah, ow. There isn't really much of a consonant on that. Ow.
So it's like two vowel sounds next to each other. Okay, yeah.
That you have to slide from one into the other.
Yeah. I guess when the Doctor is at a team, like when the 13th Doctor had the fam, they were like a diphthong because there were multiple companions at once. Does that answer the question?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm reading these questions and I'm trying to cherry pick ones that seem... I don't understand any of them. Josie Russell has asked, by this logic, should the letter Z in Doctor Who canon be pronounced as zoo?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't see why that follows. Good Pete's asked, can we just get Tequin Whittock to cough when something isn't real? Is that a reference to the coughing major?
Tequin Whittock was the guy who was accused of coughing to help Charles Ingram, but I'm not talking about that today.
Yeah, okay, so that's sort of outside of the universe we're talking about.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. Nikki again, 3101 has asked, if this is true, what should we do about it?
We don't need to do anything about it. This is kind of summed up at the end, I think I kind of put in this stuff at the end because I didn't want to sort of associate with... There are certain like groups of people that will use things like the Matrix to say, oh, we're all living in a fictional universe, so nothing matters, so we shouldn't be nice to people. I think you can still be nice to people even if you're living in a fictional reality.
2 softball questions for you to close up. Which soap opera would you most want to live in?
Coronation Street, just because it's my personal favourite. EastEnders would be quite scary, and Emmerdale's in the middle of nowhere. Coronation Street's a nice middle.
Yeah, do you not think you'd want the one with the least drama? Everything's always kicking off at Corrie. You can't have like a calm week there.
What soaps are calm?
This is what I'm thinking about. I always thought Emmerdale, maybe the Archers. Is the Archers calm?
Oh yeah, maybe, but you wouldn't get to appreciate anything visual.
Oh, could I not like touch?
Maybe no, maybe not.
That's a huge
You just-
consideration.
You exist without visuals, just in sound.
Yeah, rule that out.
Yeah.
I love touch and feel, heat and
Yeah.
cold, flavors. And lastly, Burnzoid asks, do you have a favorite Doctor?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the second Doctor because the second Doctor was the first to be a regeneration, and Patrick Troughton completely reinvented the character. He could have just done an imitation of William Hartnell, but he made it a different character, which was so interesting, and it allowed every Doctor after that to make the Doctor something different each time.
One mad decision changed the course of history.
Yeah,
Just like the earliest expeditions to Indonesia.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Enlightening and mind-boggling in
You're
equal
welcome.
measure. Thank you very much for your time and your knowledge. Can we get TYKOT in the chat? Thank yet another
Thank you.
champion of info.
It's been a wonderful evening. Thank you for having me.
And thank you.
Okay.
That was King of Time with a Vnexpected A to Z of Doctor Who Sick. We learned a lot. We thought a lot. Big questions came up and my mind rejected them as scary and intimidating. Last up, to close out the 4th year of the Morl Society, we have Benjamin Animation with I reject your virtual reality and substitute my own. And
Hello.
here he is. Hello, Ben.
Hi. This is exciting. Can you hear me okay? I've realized the OBS virtual camera does not convey sound, but hopefully.
You're coming through loud and clear and even
All right.
aided by a gentle bit of compression.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well. Normally I try to tell everyone when you give a little presentation, especially on a special occasion like this, to be off book, but I am not off book at all. So I'm just going to read my little spiel if that's okay. I apologize for any professionals in the audience, i.e. Sean, but
No,
yes.
do as you wish, be comfortable, be happy. Would you like to be full screened?
Please, yes. This is all in. I have it all in OBS virtual camera. Hopefully it'll all work out
Brilliant.
that way.
All right, the floor is
Yes.
yours. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hello, Sean, and hello, members of the Morl Society, which in my impression is some type of, adventurer society type thing. Today, I wish to share with the esteemed members a fascination I cannot shake, one that has become a constant source of joy and confusion that I've told and retold countless times to mostly unenthused faces. I fear this subject is only interesting to myself, and thus, in an effort to find like-minded theologians of the Church of Why, I now present my fascination. You see, today my presentation is about the esteemed Hollywood director, Brett Leonard. Brett Leonard is the reason why everyone knew what virtual reality was in the 90s. He's most known for popularizing the term virtual reality, or VR, with his hit movie, The Lawnmower Man. Now, he, more than anyone else, brought that term and that technology into the cultural zeitgeist, which is hilarious because, as far as I know, he has no idea what VR is. He has no clue. And this is why I find this so funny. Okay. Now, this is a subject where the more you learn about the late 80s and early 90s VR, Brett Leonard, and the circumstances of how the Lawnmower Man came about, the more insane the story gets. there's lots of very fascinating little side details and nuggets of information and weird connections. But unfortunately, I will be omitting many of those details because of the limited time. But I do invite you to read about it yourself. It's very weird. It's very funny. Anyway, in short, Brett Leonard was hoping to be a writer and filmmaker and found himself living in Santa Cruz, California, where he did drugs with other Silicon Valley tech pioneers, including one Jaron Lanier, who looks like this. Now, Jaron Lanier, he was let go from Atari, you know, the video game company, when the company was split in 1984. And but his real passion was virtual reality, which is a field he basically founded. He had another partner who did some other parts of it, but he basically founded virtual reality, and his company was called VPL Research, which was a company dedicated to commercializing virtual reality technology. Now, Brett Leonard attended a demo of VPL Research's potential products at a San Francisco futurist convention called Cyberthon. Now, just to clarify, Jaron Lanier was a real tech guy. He really made this technology and could explain it. His company's technology eventually led to the Power Glove. If you know that from the Nintendo Entertainment System, that Power Glove, that was his company's technology. Now, Brett Leonard listened and even wore a demo VR headset at Cyberthon, and he was so taken by this technology that he like interviewed Jaron and wrote down quotes from him, and like he was completely inspired by this futuristic technology. But even then, having done that, he did not get it. He did not understand what it was. And now the evidence for this, of course, his lack of understanding is in his creations, his movies. From this meeting, Brett and his wife, Gimel Everett, wrote an original screenplay called Cyber God. Now, as an aside here, New Line Cinema bought the rights to Stephen King's short story, The Lawnmower Man, which, if you've read it, is about a satyr who worships the Greek god Pan, who starts a lawn mowing company. It's not about virtuality at all. But they were having trouble adapting it to film, so instead they bought Cyber God, the screenplay from Brett Leonard, and changed the name to The Lawnmower Man. And Stephen King sued and tried to get his name removed from all marketing, but that whole story, the lawsuit and everything, that's one of those side details that we won't get into. But that's why this is called The Lawnmower Man and not Cyber God. That itself is very funny to me. But for the most part, the plot of Cyber God remained intact in the final Lawnmower Man screenplay. So there you go. So, okay. So just to refresh everyone's memory, I'm sure you've all seen Lawnmower Man a million times. It's your favorite movie. But just to refresh everyone's memory about 1992's The Lawnmower Man and its relationship to VR, a brilliant scientist is using psychoactive drugs and virtual reality to enhance cognitive performance in a chimpanzee. Now, this is not a thing VR does. Okay. The research is being tampered with by an evil government organization that wants to use it for military applications. So the chimpanzee becomes extra smart, trained in warfare, and has his aggression increased. This is not something VR does. The chimpanzee tries to escape and is shot. Oh, here's the chimpanzee behind the scenes, by the way. Then the scientist gets an intellectually disabled gardener, Job, and pops him into the same VR technology. Job becomes smarter, but also develops psychokinesis and telepathy. This is not something VR does. Then Job brings his newly found lover into VR for cybersex. And as you all know what happens when you do that, she is lobotomized. This is not something VR does. Then he gets so smart, he begins using VR without the scientist in an effort to speed up his evolution by transforming into pure energy and becoming a digital-only being. This is not something VR does. He does become a digital-only being and tries to destroy, or I guess control, the world by connecting to the internet. This is not something VR does. He fails mainly. The end. So you might be saying, well, it's a movie. They have to take some liberties with it. You know, you can't just have a normal display of, you know, regular VR technology. Sure. Well, if you Google Brett Leonard now, he is often speaking at conventions and on podcasts about how he was so right in predicting the uses of VR, and especially the evil uses of VR, which usually means meta. But he has created his own 5 laws of VR, much like Isaac Asimov's laws. That's right, the 5 laws of VR. He's often referred to as a visionary. Sometimes you see VR visionary, and sometimes you see him referred to as a technology visionary, which I personally believe he's given that title to sort of obfuscate what it is he really did or thinks, in order to make him seem like he's some great guru about like AI or social media or whatever. Not just he made a movie about VR that was completely wrong and made VR into some kind of magical power that makes no sense. But I personally am very confused and fascinated by how a man who has visual evidence that he does not understand what VR is or what it does has elevated VR into a like a cultural phenomenon since the 90s. And because of that, people treat him like he is so very smart, perceptive, and prophetic. And that whole thing is just very, very funny to me. Well, and now I'm speaking directly to Brett. Brett, I'm sorry. VR doesn't increase your intelligence. It doesn't turn you evil. It doesn't let you evolve into an energy being. I don't think you're a visionary, but somehow you made a technology very popular that you didn't and still do not understand. This is a fascination of mine, and thank you for letting me share it. I appreciate it. Now, Moral Society members, I've probably gone over my time, but if you want to cheat this very system that Sean has put into place, please ask the question to me, what about virtuosity? Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
That strategy for extending your presentation is genius. That is, what a loophole. That's inspired.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see if it comes up. I'm impressed with that. So I'm perfectly happy to claw back more time with that. Incredible presentation. Lawnmower Man has climbed up my to watch list.
I recommend it.
I've seen the visuals, I've seen the clips, and more. That's more than enough to entice a curious brain. So to start us off, I've got a question of my own then. In your research of this guy, Brett Leonard, is he option A guy who was always a bit of a mad guy, ready to believe in like magic and techno magic, and it was always going to go that way? Or he was kind of a normal guy who made a mistake, got a bit confused about what a device does at a conference, and that he's had to double down on that mistake and keep defending a film that costs a lot of money, and that has turned him mad. But it was like that was like an origin story of a normal guy going mad.
Well, it's both, because as far as I can tell, he made the most popular IMAX movie of all time before IMAX was a big thing. So he was the first like blockbuster IMAX director. And so he was always fascinated by technology, and that's why he liked those Silicon Valley guys. But what I don't understand, and even in Lawnmower Man, there's many milestones of computer graphics, like CG graphics in Lawnmower Man. Like one of the shots took like 8 months or something, and like $2 million to do like a 30-second sequence or something. I don't know. There's like all these weird milestones of like money and stuff. So he was always interested in technology, and he wanted to incorporate that into filmmaking. So that is normal, sort of. But what I don't understand is like the actual use of VR is so magical, that like where I don't know where that disconnect was, but because he made that movie, it's sort of like, I don't know if you're into flat Earth as a not that I'm a flat earther, but the people who propagate flat Earth are very interesting to me. And I feel like a lot of them kind of just like rode a wave. Like they didn't really think about flat Earth, but they made a video discussing it and then became like a hero of that movement. But like they themselves maybe didn't like care that much. I feel like that's what happened to him. Like now he's like he's basically just the VR guy, and people go, oh, you predicted like Meta back in the day, and I'm like, I don't think anyone's seen the movie. Like people who keep saying that, I don't think they've seen the movie because
Or
it's so insane. So like, I'm like, I don't think Facebook is turning chimpanzees into military subjects. I don't know, like it's so weird. But anyway, not to defend Facebook, but I'm just saying, I just feel like his movie is maybe not as like future seeking as it should be. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
We're not
I
coming
think
out.
it's both.
We're not coming out to bat for Mark Zuckerberg just because we say it doesn't turn chimpanzees into war machines. It does other things.
It's just odd. Like if you read the criticisms of Meta's VR platform and what they've done to VR, like I 100% agree, but like none of it is magic. It's all like corporate stuff that you would expect like evil corporate people to do. It's not like you can't turn into an energy being from a Quest headset, you know? I don't know. It's very funny. Anyway.
We have a question here from Dankis Don John. If VR could do anything, what would you like it to be able to do?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, if you asking if I had the powers of a god, okay, well, I mean, world peace. I don't know. I think for my own, I mean, I cut so much out of the speech because I realized like 5 minutes is not that much, but you know, I have an HTC Vive headset, like an early, like, you know, that was like 9 years ago headset. And like VR is amazing. You know, it's an amazing experience. It's just like, if like I used to play Minecraft in VR and like you're just in Minecraft, like I mean, if you hate Minecraft, like just physically walking around in that world and like building stuff and having it be like your height and stuff is just very interesting. It's very fascinating. But like but I don't know. I mean, if I had magical VR powers, like I don't know, maybe create a world where people get dignity and respect no matter what. I don't know. Create a utopia. I don't know.
Pretty good answer. The Burnzoid's thrown you a bone here and asked, what about virtuosity?
What about Now, I prepared 3 questions, answers to 3 questions with more meat on them than coming off the top of my head. One of them, of course, is what about virtuosity? Thank you for asking that. Now, virtuosity that's the second movie that Brett Leonard made, and it's also evidence of his complete misunderstanding of not only VR but nanotech and AI. The first Lawnmower Man was New Line Cinema's highest grossing theatrical release of 1992. So it made them a lot of money. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but if you're a director and you make a lot of money with a movie, very often a studio will give you a blank check to make another movie. But because VR was such a hit and he was still like the VR guy, the movie he made had to be VR. And so related. And so here's the quote from Wikipedia that I found so funny about this. All right, here you go. After the success of The Lawnmower Man, director Brett Leonard received a number of virtual reality-based scripts as potential follow-ups, with Leonard rejecting them as they weren't very good and were overly reliant upon cybersex, which he didn't feel could sustain an entire movie. What attracted Leonard to the virtuosity script was the fact it wasn't overly focused on or reliant on virtual reality and would allow him to focus more on action elements and nanotechnology. So that's you know, good on him. And so you might ask yourself, well, what was virtuosity about? How does it compare to Lawnmower Man? And I will say, if you'd like to know, I'm somebody who might be involved in this might be screening this movie tomorrow in their Discord. So shout out to me if you want to come watch this movie with me tomorrow. Feel free. I could hook you up with those details. Anyone who's interested. This is the plot synopsis, just to give you a taste on if he figured out virtual reality or not. Here's a little snippet from it. Here you go. The 2 police officers are tracking down a serial killer named Sid 6.7 at a Japanese sushi restaurant in virtual reality. Sid, short for sadistic, intelligent, dangerous, a VR amalgam of the most violent serial killers throughout history, causes one of the officers to go into shock, killing him. And just for the record, this is not something VR does. You kill someone through VR. Anyway, so there you go. That's my virtuosity question answer. So thank you for letting me sneak my second half into the presentation.
All our lives are richer for it. You have really found a kind of a guy here. I just love the read that maybe he just misheard what someone said at a conference, and he's like, okay, that'll be the basis of my entire career in life.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? It's so funny.
He was like, could this make you smarter? And I'd be like, well, I guess you could learn things on here. You could put a book in here.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow,
Yeah.
it like upgrades your brain.
I just like that the turning you into a digital being is like such a thing a Hollywood person would write into a technology without really thinking about it. Like in the same way that, you know, in all those, that cliche of like, well, if you die in the game, you die in real life. Like that, like they just like throw that into movies randomly for tension, you know?
Yeah.
So dumb.
I don't quite see how this figures in, but LooseyLeftie has asked, does Pierce Brosnan get into VR?
Yes, so Pierce Brosnan, yes. So the climax of the movie Lawnmower Man. So Pierce Brosnan is the lead sort of the movie. And he yes, and you can see on the poster Pierce Brosnan. And Pierce Brosnan, he couldn't be in the sequel, not Virtuosity, but there is actually a sequel to Lawnmower Man, which I also can talk about, but it's a whole other thing. But he wasn't available for the sequel because he became James Bond. So I just find that funny. Like it was like he made this and then he was James Bond, which is just hilarious to me. But anyway, but Pierce Brosnan is the scientist in the movie who's doing all the research. And at the climax of the movie, he goes into VR. Well, I won't spoil it, but he goes into VR to confront the Lawnmower Man, and it's very funny. What I really want to spoil it, but I won't because I feel like you should be like, what? There's a lot of like, what the hell? Anyway.
And because it sounds like we could all go and watch it in Ben's Discord tomorrow evening.
Well, Virtuosity. I'm going to screen Virtuosity.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We could also watch Lawnmower Man if people want. If we want to see both, I'm totally fine. We can even watch Lawnmower Man 2. We just watch movies for 6 hours. I'm totally fine with it.
There's a sequel to Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, there is. Do you want to know more about it, Sean? Dare you ask me more about it? I have it prepared.
Yeah. Go on.
All right, Lawnmower Man 2 is so interesting because it's not called The Lawnmower Man 2. It's called Lawnmower Man 2, which I'm sure is a way to get around some Stephen King lawsuit thing. But anyway, it's called Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. The script was originally called Cyber Job, which I find very funny. I don't know why. But this was not directed by Brett Leonard because he was too busy making Virtuosity and he felt like he was done with this universe. But what's notable about this movie is it stars Matt Frewer, who was Max Headroom. And if you remember Max Headroom from the 80s or whatever, I mean, I'm not that familiar with him, but he was like he was like a man uploaded to virtual reality. So it's just very weird that he's the villain and I mean, he took over the role of the Lawnmower Man. So it's just weird that I don't know, it's like Hatsune Miku being like, I don't know, like GLaDOS suddenly or something. Like, I don't know. It's just like a weird connection that makes me laugh. And then, yeah, Pierce Brosnan to be James Bond. And this movie is so bad. It's so bad it's good. It's a look at 90s technology, which I find funny. And I definitely recommend it. And my one fun fact about this movie is that Grant Morrison, the comic book artist who wrote Doom Patrol, was asked to make Lawnmower Man 3 and 4, and they were scrapped before they ever got into production. But just imagine a Doom Patrol version of Lawnmower Man coming out in like the 2000s. Anyway, okay, that's it. It's Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace. Well worth watching as well. Not a serious movie. I mean, none of them are serious, but not very much not a serious movie. Very silly movie. Okay, yes.
All right, let's end on this. There's a question from FunkyMrChicken I quite like. Do you think there is anyone else in the world who has misunderstood what made them famous to this degree?
I mean, I love people like this, and when I meet not me personally, but when I see or encounter them, I am so fascinated by this. And like there are so many people like this that have different, I mean, not exactly maybe slant rhyme with Brett Leonard, but like Rebecca Black is one of them, right? Like Rebecca Black became famous for like the wrong reason, but then she like used her fame to become an actual singer that now people respect, like honestly, you know what I mean? But like I don't know, was Rebecca Black and the Arc Music Factory guys, were they like yeah, we're doing great, we're famous for the right reason, or were they cognizant of like we're making the crappiest music ever and people are hate watching this? Like I don't know, but like I think about those guys a lot. I think about this a lot, but I don't know. I mean, this one just fascinates me so much because like the only reason anyone knows about virtuality is because of this man misunderstanding it, and I just find that so weird. It's like it's just crazy. But I'll have to think about that. I'll get back to you. I'll put it in Sean's Discord if I think about it someone else equally ridiculous to this level.
You bring up a good point about what makes this guy special. It's not just the level of misunderstanding over the subject matter, it's that he's also popularizing the subject matter across the world. Yeah. But he doesn't know what it is. I'm not sure. Surely he's got to be the #1 in history at that. Popularizing a thing globally that you don't actually know what it is.
It's just, I mean, it's so funny to me. It's so funny. I want to say one more thing. It's very short, but I just want to say one more, if that's okay. Yep. It's not really part of anything, but if that's okay. I just wanted to say that if you enjoy the subject of 90s misrepresentation of technology, then I highly recommend other types of movies like this. There's so many in the 90s. Of course, this might be controversial, but Hackers is a movie about hacking and hacker technology that almost has nothing to do with hacking. It's all very like Hollywood and weird. There's The Net, which is another movie about the early internet and the computer hacking, which also has nothing to do with the internet. The internet's barely in the movie. It's very weird. And personally, my favorite, which I think is actually the most accurate use of technology in the 90s, is Time Cop, which all actually happened. And thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate you. You're the best. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your, well, I guess I'm the end, but I hope you have a wonderful day. And thanks, everybody. Nice talking to everybody. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. And I'm glad we got to get through all of your extracurricular material as well.
Okay, take care, Sean.
See you next time. Thank you very much. And with that climactic conclusion, another Morl Society comes to a thunderous end. You have seen this evening 7 presenters on 7 subjects, with the exception of one image of Kermit the Frog on a bike. They had absolutely no overlap, and yet each were perfect diamonds, unique, unbreakable, and unshakable. You watched Martijn Frazer talk about the first successful Dutch voyage to Indonesia, FunkyMrChicken with It's So Hard to Be Wi-Fi These Days, an exploration of modern ICT, its application in the home, and what that means in the context of late-stage capitalism. LooseyLeftie with innovative puppetry in the 1979 The Muppet Movie. MaggieFBK, The Life of Y, Felt and Seen, an exploration in the creation of a felt Medusa lounging in front of a fireplace. Dan McKee with the theme tunes of Tony Hatch. KingOfThyme with an unexpected A to Z of Doctor Who, proving that we are more likely to be within the Whoniverse because the Whoniverse orders the alphabet differently. And you have just seen Benjamin Animation with I Reject Your Virtual Reality and Substitute My Own, charting the course of history of why we know VR. Why I have a Meta Quest 2 is because if there's any theme to this, it's of errors and failures forever changing the course of history. A doomed voyage to Indonesia, Wi-Fi ripping us off. Hard to make that theme fit a celebration of puppetry in the Muppet Movie or Maggie's or Dan's, but a probably flubbed line in Doctor Who has changed how we understand reality. And now our relationship with technology is forever altered because someone probably misheard an explanation of what a piece of wearable tech does. That's life. That's history. That's the Morl Society. Thank you, everyone who watched. And triple thank you, I think, at least to all of our presenters. I am going to type out all of their Twitch channels, those who stream. You can follow some of our presenters at www.twitch.tv/ is it Martijn F, Martijn? I suppose I could click on your name and find out. But instead, it's now your job to tell me. FunkyMrChicken, LooseyLeftie, is Martijn F. Good. I don't think Dad streams. KingOfThyme does, though. And of course, Benjamin Animation, a streamer with a full schedule that you can catch very regularly. Please, God, tell me I haven't put a typo in any of these. That's our pinned message. Yet you can follow Dan McKee at Blue Sky. Very good comedian. Can be seen live talking into a microphone. You do have to live in the UK, though. I'm sorry, and I don't wish that upon anyone. But maybe there are upsides. It's Benamation, isn't it? I knew. I could tell my brain was pickled. From the typing and talking at the same time, I knew something was going to go wrong. I knew something was going to flub. Please follow Ben at twitch.tv/Benamation. We will have some more community streams and things coming up. You can join the Discord, find out what's coming up next. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to everyone who presented. Thank you to everyone who learned. Yes, we will. I hate to talk to Albrock, but we will be figuring out Fishmas soon. We're leaving it a bit late, but that's me. We've done this. Fishmas next. You all know what Fishmas is? Sorry, you'll have to wait and see. Wait, see, and engage with something I'll put out next week. Be well, enjoy the weekend, and remember, this is a world of information, and only rarity and obscurity matters. We're looking for flecks of gold in a river of shit. That's life, and we love it. Goodbye.